This is the story of Uyinene, a young lady of Cape Town who was murdered and sexually abused by a post office man. Uyinene was born to her parents in East London on 20th April 2000 in South Africa. She had an elder brother and she was loved dearly by her family such that they nicknamed her Nene because she was a sweet, kind, loving girl. Above all, she was smart, she was intelligent. Uyinene went to Kingswood College School where she achieved good grades as well as served on the Students' Council and was loved by a lot of friends as she was a social butterfly there. She did graduate from the school with flying colors and moved to University of Cape Town in 2021 to pursue studies in the film industry. While in Cape Town, she remained a social butterfly and was loved by her friends and family. She always kept in touch. And one day, she decided she wanted to go to the post office to pick up clothes that she had bought online. And that fateful day was 24th August 2019. The post office was a few kilometers away from her school's hostels and she went in a taxi to collect her parcel, but she was told electricity wasn't available as Cape Town is known to have power cuts frequently, and she was told to come back later in the day. You see, Uyinene had come to the post office 8 days ago, but she was still told her parcel wasn't there. But in the actual sense, the parcel had just been sitting in the post office all that time. Uyinene went back to the post office as advised by the postman, and during that time, nobody was there except for that one postman as it was a Saturday afternoon, and all the other staffs had knocked off. She entered the post office. Unbeknown to her, the man that was available at the table wanted to sexually harass her and also abuse her. The postman who was there was Luyanda Bota, a civil servant whom anybody could easily trust. This man worked for the post office, but he had a history of crimes, sexual violence against women, sexual assault against women, gender-based violence charges. But at the time that he was working at the post office, soon as Uyinene entered the post office, Luyanda Bota began to make sexual advances to her and she wasn't responding to them. She began screaming and he got furious and in turn pushed her in one of the lockers at the post office. But Uyinene kept on screaming and so Luyanda Bota got a 2 kg weight package and hit her on the head. He pulled her out from the safe where he had kept her and sexually assaulted her. After that, he went outside to get a cigarette, to take a drink, and got back in, continued to sexually assault her, then got Uyinene, packed her in his vehicle, and took her to an abandoned rail station where he bent down her body. As the evening was going on, her friends began to get worried as Uyinene didn't communicate if she was going to sleep over to where she had gone. When they were trying to call her phones were going through unanswered. Her family too did call her and her phones went unanswered. This was out of character for Uyinene because she is one person who has always kept in touch with her father, her mother, her friends at the school, even her childhood friends. She had always kept in touch with them, and so people began to worry. Soon, her family jumped into action and filed for a missing report person, and an alert was put for everybody who had come in contact with her to bring in any information. Luckily, Uyinene had talked to the driver whom she had booked the time that she had gone to the post office. They had a little conversation and he was the last person that had seen her. He moved forward and told the police that he had dropped her off at the post office. Police indeed jumped into action and found out that Luyanda Bota was the last person at the office. And Luyanda Bota never resisted arrest. Soon as the police got him, he confessed to the damage that he had done and confessed to everything that he had done, that he had killed her and he had burnt her body alive, and he told the police where he could find her. Her school friends held candlelight sessions. They had some sermons for her, and DNA confirmed that indeed the remaining bodies that Luyanda Bota had left at the train stations were indeed Uyinene's. Once word got out there that Luyanda was the killer and he was convicted, people went to protest in the streets, and they burnt down his house to ashes. It was also discovered that Luyanda had a history of crimes behind him, and people were wondering how this criminal had been able to find himself in the civil service. He had multiple charges and cases of bank robberies and robberies, aggravated robberies to the public. He also had cases of sexual assaults, raping student nurses, and this man was facing divorce from his second wife. People were furious and angry. Justice for Unene began to trend. Justice for Unene began to trend, and more organizations moved in to fight this battle with her family. Luyanda Bota was convicted and charged with murder and also trying to obstruct evidence from officers. He was sentenced to life in prison, and we hope that man will never ever get to see the day of life of smell freedom for whatever sins he had committed against this beautiful and young lady who had a whole future ahead of her. May her soul continue to rest in peace, and her family has set up a foundation, an Uinene Foundation, to help fight for victims who are facing certain similar circumstances as to what Uinene faced at the hands of Luyanda. With that being said, what are your thoughts on this case?